3 weeks after my best friend died, his lawyer handed me a sealed letter and said, "Read it alone. Then decide who you trust." The envelope wasn't thick. It wasn't fancy. But the wax seal was deep red, pressed so hard the edges looked bruised, like whoever closed it wanted it to stay closed. The lawyer's office smelled like polished wood and cold air. Glass walls, black leather chairs, and a painting of a stormy shoreline that made me feel like I was already drowning. He didn't offer me water. He didn't offer me sympathy. He only said, he was very specific. Then he slid the letter across the desk with 2 fingers, like it could stain him. My chest tightened as if grief had hands. I hadn't heard Mark's name out loud much since the funeral. People avoided it. They treated it like a fragile object that might shatter if spoken. Mark had been the only person who could call me out without making me feel attacked. He'd look at me with those steady eyes behind square glasses and say the thing I didn't want to admit, then follow it with a crooked smile like he was still on my side. He died on a wet road at night, and every explanation after that felt too neat. Accident, people said. Tragic, they said. Life, they said. Like a single word could cover the hole he left. The lawyer stood up, straightened his navy tie, and nodded toward the letter. "I'll wait outside," he said. He asked me to. He opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and closed it behind him. Silence filled the office like water. I stared at the wax seal. My hands were steady, but my stomach wasn't. Something in me already knew this wasn't a goodbye note. Mark didn't do sentimental goodbyes. Mark did warnings. Mark did plans. I broke the seal. The paper inside was folded once, crisp and clean. Mark's handwriting cut across the top like a blade. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. Don't panic. Don't call your sister." My throat went dry. Then the line that made my vision narrow and my heartbeat thud in my ears. "Mark said your sister and your uncle are already rewriting your life." I read it again, slower, like the words might change if I stared hard enough. My sister. My uncle. My own blood. And the worst part was how fast my mind began pulling old moments out of storage, lining them up, and asking if Mark had been the only one who saw what I refused to see. I reached the bottom of the first page and found one last sentence underlined twice. "If you react too early, you lose." I froze with the letter in my hands, listening to the hum of the air conditioner, suddenly sure of one thing. Whatever Mark had left me wasn't meant to comfort me. It was meant to save me. The door handle rattled once, softly, as if someone tested it. The handle didn't turn. It just rattled, once, and stopped. I held my breath until I realized it was the air pressure shifting, nothing more. But my body didn't care. My body was already acting like I was being watched. The second page of Mark's letter didn't waste time on feelings. It laid out rules. Don't confront. Don't accuse. Don't hint that. Don't tell your sister you're confused. Don't ask your uncle why. If they suspect you know, they'll change the story while you're still trying to catch up. My fingers tightened on the paper. Then Mark wrote what they were doing, and it hit me like cold water. They were forging my name. Not to steal from me in the obvious way. Not with a dramatic empty the account overnight move. They were creating a trail that made it look like I was the one siphoning money, moving property, and preparing to vanish. A frame job doesn't start with handcuffs. It starts with whispers. It starts with the family saying, "We were worried about her." It starts with people looking at you like you're unstable. It starts with your own grief used as proof that you're capable of anything. I swallowed hard. Mark's handwriting sharpened on the next lines, like he pressed the pen down harder. "They will paint you as selfish, unstable, and greedy. They will do it politely. They will do it in front of witnesses." Then I noticed something taped to the inside fold of the letter. A flat keycard. Hotel style. Matte black. A small number written in marker on the back. 304. My skin prickled. Mark had added a final instruction below the keycard, boxed in with a heavy line. "Go to Harbor View Suites. Room 304. Use this key. Inside is what you need. Bring no one except someone you trust with your life." I sat back in the chair, letter in one hand, keycard in the other. It would have been easy to call my sister right then. Easy to demand an explanation. Easy to scream and cry and force a reaction. But Mark knew me. He knew my first instinct would be to fix things by talking. And he knew talking was the trap. I folded the letter carefully, like it was evidence in a case. Then I slipped it into my bag. When I opened the door, the lawyer was standing exactly where he said he'd be, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the carpet as if he was giving me privacy even in silence. He looked up, searching my face. "You read it," he said softly. I nodded once. He didn't ask what it said. Like he already knew. What do you want to do? He asked. I should have told him everything right then. But Mark's rule echoed in my head. Don't react too early. So I kept my voice calm. I'm going home, I said. And then I'm handling something Mark left me. The lawyer studied me for a beat. Then he said, be careful. He didn't sound afraid often. But when he wrote those instructions, he sounded afraid. As I stepped into the elevator, one thought struck me harder than the rest. If Mark was afraid enough to plan this, then he wasn't only worried about my sister and my uncle. He was worried about what they were capable of doing to make a lie stick. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message preview flashed. Are you okay? We should meet today. It was my sister. I didn't open the message. I stared at my sister's name on the screen as the elevator descended, and it felt like I was looking at a stranger wearing a familiar face. Outside the building, the sun was too bright for the mood in my chest. Cars moved, people laughed, life kept going like nothing had changed. That normalcy made everything feel worse. I sat in my car for a full minute, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slow. Mark had said bring only someone I'd trust with my life. There was only one person who fit that rule. Nia. Nia wasn't family. Nia wasn't nice. Nia didn't do soft lies meant to keep peace. She did truth and structure and systems. She also did security work for small businesses, which meant she knew how predators moved. Quietly. Legally. With paperwork. When she picked up, her voice was clear. Talk. It's me, I said. I got something from Mark's lawyer. A pause, half a second. Where are you? She asked. In my car. Good. Don't go home yet. Tell me what you got. I told her about the letter. About the keycard. About the words that made my stomach drop. Mark said your sister and your uncle. Nia didn't gasp. She didn't swear. She didn't ask if I was sure. She just said, send me a photo of the keycard. I snapped one and sent it. Harbor View Suites, she said after a beat. Room 304. He planned this. Yes. You're not going alone, she said. I wasn't going to. Meet me at the entrance in 20, she said. And don't reply your sister. That last part landed like a command. When I arrived, Nia was already there, standing near the glass doors like she owned the space. Braids pulled into a clean bun. Gold hoop earrings. Black blazer over a white tee. Calm eyes scanning everything. She looked at my face, then at my hands. You're shaking, she said. I'm not, I lied. Okay, she said, like she accepted my lie as a temporary coping tool. Let's move. The elevator ride up felt too quiet. The hallway smelled like citrus cleaner. The carpet swallowed our footsteps. Room numbers passed like countdown markers. 304. I swiped the keycard. The lock blinked green. Inside was a neat room with white sheets, gray curtains, and one desk facing a window. No clutter. No personal touches. But on the desk sat a brown folder with my name on it in Mark's handwriting. I stood still, like the air itself might be booby-trapped. Nia closed the door behind us, then checked the bathroom, the closet, the corners, and the vents the way a cautious person checks their surroundings after hearing a gunshot in the distance. Clear, she said. I stepped to the desk and opened the folder. The first page was a photocopy of a document with my name printed beneath a signature that looked like mine, if you glanced quickly. If you wanted it to be mine. A second page showed a transfer form. A third showed a property filing. Then I saw the recorder. Small. Black. Taped into the inside pocket like Mark wanted it to stay hidden until the right moment. My thumb hovered over the play button. Nia's voice came low and steady. Once you hear it, she said, you can't unhear it. I pressed play. The first voice that filled the room was my sister's, soft and sweet, like she was discussing a birthday surprise. My sister's voice made my skin crawl because it sounded normal. Not angry. Not frantic. Confident. She won't fight, she said, almost gently. She hates conflict. She'll fold if the family pressures her. My throat tightened. The recorder picked up another voice after a small clink, like a glass being set down. A man's voice, slower, deeper, familiar in a way that made my stomach drop. My uncle. The uncle who wore white kaftans like he was holy. The uncle whose gold rings caught light when he lifted his hands to pray over food. The uncle who smiled like a blessing. We don't need her to fold, he said. We need her to be blamed. Nia's eyes narrowed. She didn't look at me. She watched the recorder like it was a live animal. My sister laughed, light and bored. She thinks Mark was her shield, she said. Now he's gone. We can move. The room went cold. My chest hurt. Not from fear alone. From betrayal so clean it didn't even tremble. Uncle's voice again, soft and controlled. And if she suspects? My sister's answer came too fast. Then we cry, she said. We tell everyone grief broke her. We say she's unstable. We say she's making accusations because she can't accept Mark's death. I squeezed my eyes shut, and for a second I was back at the funeral. My sister's arms around me. Her voice in my ear, I'm here. Her tears warm on my shoulder. I had believed her. The recorder continued. The signatures are good, my sister said. Besides, who will they believe? Her, or me? There it was. Not just a plan to take money. A plan to take my voice. A plan to take my credibility. A plan to make me look like a villain before I could even defend myself. My fingers curled into a fist. Nia reached out and touched my wrist, firm and grounding. Listen, she said. I forced myself to keep hearing it, even though every instinct begged me to stop. Uncle spoke again, and for the first time, his calm tone cracked with irritation. Mark interfered, he said. He blocked a transfer. He asked questions. My heart slammed. My sister's voice turned sharp for half a second. He's gone now, she said. That's what matters. Nia's hand tightened on my wrist. The recorder clicked softly, then continued, and my uncle said something that changed the air in the room completely. We can't afford another mistake like the brakes. My breath stopped. Nia's eyes flicked to mine. Brakes? I whispered. Mark died in a car accident. Wet road. Poor visibility. Tragic. But brakes. I stared at the folder on the desk. The forged papers. The transfers. The property documents. Mark had been trying to stop something. And something had stopped him. Nia's voice came out cold. Okay, she said. Now we know what we're dealing with. I swallowed, tasting metal. This is insane, I said, even though it wasn't. Not anymore. Nia shook her head once. This is organized, she corrected. And organized people don't stop until you force them. I looked down at the recorder like it might bite me. I didn't feel helpless anymore. I felt hunted. And I felt angry in a way that was clean and dangerous. Nia reached for her phone. First thing, she said. We copy everything. Then we lock down your assets. Then we build a chain of custody. And my sister? I asked. Nia looked at me like the answer should hurt. Your sister doesn't get a warning, she said. She gets consequences. My phone buzzed again. Another message from my sister, I'm coming over. We need to talk. It's urgent. Nia didn't let me reply. She took my phone, turned it face down on the desk, and said, if you answer now, you hand her the steering wheel. That word hit hard after what we'd just heard. Brakes. Steering wheel. Control. I took a slow breath and nodded once. Okay, I said. What do we do first? Nia opened her laptop and pulled the folder closer, treating Mark's evidence like it was a crime scene. First, she said, we make copies. Digital and physical. We assume your uncle has resources. I watched her move through the documents with a calm that felt almost unreal. Forged signatures, transfer requests, property filings. She photographed each page, then scanned them, then backed them up twice. Mark had been thorough. There were timestamps. Screenshots of messages. A partial bank trail. Enough to prove intent, but not enough to finish the job. Yet. Nia tapped the recorder. This stays with us, she said. We document when we received it, where, and who handled it. I tried to focus, but my mind kept replaying my sister's voice. We don't need her to fold. We need her to be blamed. She had said it like she was discussing groceries. Nia looked up. Listen, she said. They're going to act normal. Your sister will use concern as a weapon. Your uncle will use family authority. Your job is to become boring. Predictable. Calm. You want me to pretend? I asked. I want you to survive, she said. And I want them to stay confident long enough to hang themselves. We left the hotel room with the folder secured in Nia's bag. I kept my face blank at the front desk like I just checked out of a regular stay, like my heart wasn't trying to punch through my ribs. On the drive home, I forced myself to open my sister's messages. Are you okay? We should meet today. That I'm worried about you. That I'm coming over. It's urgent. Concern. Concern. Control. When I walked into my apartment, everything looked the same. The same couch. The same framed photo of me and Mark at a beach years ago, both laughing like we had time. Nia stood by the window and spoke without turning around. They'll stage a family intervention, she said. They'll do it with witnesses. How do you know? I asked. Because your sister already said it, she replied. She needs an audience. My stomach sank. Then Nia added, and because people like your uncle don't fight privately. He fights with reputation. That evening, like she'd been summoned by the fact that I was finally understanding the game, my sister arrived. She wore soft colors. Cream and beige. Like she was dressing as grief. Her eyes were already glossy when I opened the door. There you are, she said, voice trembling perfectly. I was so scared. You weren't answering. She stepped in and hugged me before I could react, pressing her cheek against my shoulder like she owned the right. I kept my arms stiff at my sides. Oh, she whispered, pulling back just enough to search my face. You look tired. I'm fine, I said. Her gaze flicked past me into the room, searching. Checking. Then she smiled and said, Uncle wants all of us together tomorrow. There it was. The trap, wrapped in family language. A meeting, she continued softly. Just unity. Just support. We can't fall apart now. I looked at her, really looked, and realized something chilling. She wasn't worried about me. She was measuring how close I was to breaking. I nodded once, calm as I could manage. Okay, I said. I'll come. Her shoulders loosened with relief, like she'd just secured the final piece. Good, she said, and her smile warmed. Good. Tomorrow, we settle everything. After she left, I closed the door and leaned my forehead against it. Nia's voice came from behind me, quiet. They think tomorrow is your trial, she said. I turned to her, heart steadying into something sharp. Then tomorrow, I said, we change the courtroom. Nia's phone buzzed. She read one line, and her face hardened. Your uncle just filed something, she said. And it has your name on it. Nia didn't sit down. She stood at my kitchen counter like she was about to disarm something. Your uncle filed something, she repeated, eyes fixed on her screen. And it's time-stamped today. My stomach tightened. Filed what? An affidavit, she said. And it uses your full legal name. That word, affidavit, landed heavier than an insult. It wasn't family drama anymore. It was paperwork that could become truth just because it existed. Nia called Mr. Larkin on speaker. He picked up on the second ring, voice low like he already felt the pressure building. I can't discuss details over an unsecured line, he warned. Nia didn't argue. We'll be in your office in 30 minutes, she said. Prepare a document hold. And pull anything filed today with her name. When we arrived, Mr. Larkin didn't waste time. He slid a copy across the table. My uncle's signature sat at the bottom, bold and confident. The affidavit claimed I had been acting erratically since Mark's death. That I was unstable. That I had mentioned wanting to disappear, and had been fixated on conspiracies. It was the opening move of a larger story. They weren't just stealing. They were building a reason no one should believe me. Nia's voice was calm, but her jaw was tight. This is character demolition. Mr. Larkin nodded. He filed it with witnesses. Of course he did, I murmured. Witnesses. Always witnesses. We moved fast after that. Mr. Larkin helped initiate freezes where he could, flagged the suspicious filings, and prepared a formal notice that any document submitted in my name without verification would be contested. Nia drafted an incident log with times, dates, and who handled each piece of evidence. Every step felt like tightening bolts on a door. Then my phone buzzed. A new message from my sister. Family meeting tomorrow is still happening. Uncle says bring your laptop. Nia read it over my shoulder. That's not unity, she said. That's inventory. I stared at the message until it blurred. Mark's letter echoed again. If you react too early, you lose. So I typed one reply. Okay. I'll be there. As we left the office, Mr. Larkin grabbed my sleeve. One more thing, he whispered. Mark left a sealed addendum. He said open it only if they move first. We didn't open the addendum in the hallway. We waited until we were back in my apartment with the curtains drawn and the folder from room 304 laid out like a map. Mr. Larkin's sealed envelope was smaller than the first letter. No wax this time. Just heavy paper and Mark's handwriting, sharper, tighter, like he wrote it while holding his breath. Nia placed it on the table and looked at me. "Your call," she said. I opened it. Inside was one sheet and a flash drive. The sheet had a single line at the top. "If they try to make you look unstable, show them the timestamp." Below it was a list of dates and short notes. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just facts. Date: Mark wrote down when my uncle first requested copies of my business records. Date: Mark wrote down when my sister asked him about my account access. Date: Mark wrote down the day he blocked a transfer attempt. Date: Mark wrote down the day he got that strange call warning him to stop asking questions. At the bottom, Mark had written one more line. "If anything happens to me, it won't be confusion." My throat tightened. Nia plugged in the flash drive. A single folder opened, chain. Inside were screenshots of messages, and one short audio clip. Not the sister and uncle. Someone else. A man's voice, clipped and impatient. "Tell Mark to stop digging. Or we'll handle it." Nia leaned back slowly, eyes narrowing. "They used an outside pressure point," she said. "Someone to intimidate." "Or worse," I whispered. Nia didn't answer that. She didn't have to. The word hung in the air on its own. Then she said, "Tomorrow's meeting isn't just a trap. It's a performance. They want you to look emotional. They want you to explode." I stared at the list of dates. The calm, methodical way Mark had documented everything while his own life was collapsing. He didn't leave me a speech. He left me ammunition. Nia slid the recorder from room 304 across the table. "We go in clean," she said. "No shouting. No begging. Just proof." "And if they try to cut me off?" I asked. Nia's eyes held mine. "Then we cut the story off first," she said. "Before they can start it." My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't my sister. Unknown number. One line. "Tomorrow. Don't embarrass family." Nia's face hardened. "They're already watching how you breathe," she said. I swallowed. "Good," I said. "Then they'll see me win." Nia looked toward the door. "Do you hear that?" she asked quietly. "Someone just tried your handle." It was a small sound. A soft click, then nothing. When Nia checked the door, no one was there. But the message was clear. Tomorrow wasn't a family meeting. It was a stage. The next afternoon, we arrived at my uncle's house early. The compound gates were open, like they wanted people to come in and witness whatever story they planned to tell. Inside, the living room was already filling. Aunties in bright wrappers. Cousins pretending they weren't curious. Older men with folded arms and quiet judgment. Phones that looked innocent until you remembered how fast a rumor can travel. My sister sat on the sofa in a cream dress, hands folded like she was praying. Her eyes were glossy, ready. Her mouth kept forming soft concerned shapes. My uncle stood near the window in a white kaftan, gold rings catching the light each time he moved his hands. He looked calm, almost holy, like the kind of man people instinctively trust. Nia walked beside me, steady. Mr. Larkin followed behind us with a slim briefcase. My sister's face brightened when she saw me. Relief, the way you look when a trap finally walks in by itself. "There you are," she said softly. "We've been worried." My uncle raised a hand in greeting. "Sit," he said. "We're here as a family." I didn't sit. I stepped forward and placed a neat stack of papers on the coffee table. Then I placed the recorder beside it. The room shifted. Eyes sharpened. Phones angled. My sister blinked rapidly, like her script didn't include this prop. My uncle's smile tightened, just slightly. "What is that?" he asked. I kept my voice calm. "Before anyone tells a story about me," I said, "you should hear the one you've been writing." My sister's hand flew to her chest. "What are you talking about?" I pressed play. Her own voice filled the room, sweet and confident. "She won't fight, she hates conflict." Then my uncle's voice. "We don't need her to fold. We need her to be blamed." The silence that followed was heavy, stunned, immediate. My sister's face drained of color so fast it looked unreal. My uncle didn't move. Not at first. Then he chuckled once, too late, too forced. "This is edited," he said. "Fake." Mr. Larkin stepped forward. "We have timestamps," he said. "And chain of custody. If you're here for stories like this, subscribe now. Stay ready. If you won't subscribe, comment why you're risking it." My sister's lips trembled. Her eyes searched the room for rescue. But the room wasn't listening to her anymore. It was listening to her voice. My uncle's calm finally cracked. He leaned close and whispered, "You have no idea what you just started." My uncle's whisper didn't scare me the way it used to. Because now it sounded like what it was. A man losing control. He straightened, lifted his hands, and tried to reclaim the room. "This is grief," he announced. "She's confused. Mark's death." "Stop," Nia said. One word. Flat. Clean. Everyone turned. Nia didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "This isn't confusion," she said. "It's documentation." Mr. Larkin opened his briefcase and placed a sealed packet on the table. He spoke to the room like he was reading a verdict, not an opinion. "The affidavit filed yesterday," he said, "claims she's unstable. It was filed before she confronted anyone. That means it wasn't a reaction. It was a plan." My sister's throat moved like she swallowed something sharp. Then she did what Mark predicted. She cried. "It wasn't like that," she pleaded, eyes shining. "Uncle said it was for protection. I didn't." 3 forged documents, Nia said, cutting through it. "A staged affidavit. And a recorded plan. That's not protection." My uncle's gaze slid across the room, measuring loyalty, searching for someone to speak up. No one did. Because people will tolerate a lot, but they don't like being made fools in public. I looked at my sister and felt something strange. Not hatred. Clarity. "You tried to erase my voice," I said quietly. "So now you'll hear it." I didn't argue further. I didn't beg. I didn't explain. I simply nodded to Mr. Larkin. He lifted his phone and said, "I'm contacting the proper authorities now." We left before the room could turn chaotic, because chaos was what they wanted. Chaos made stories muddy. Outside, the late afternoon sun felt too normal for what had just happened. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time it was shorter. "Stop. Or next time brakes won't fail." My blood ran cold. Nia read it, then looked at me. "That's the mistake," she said. "They threatened you in writing." She took a screenshot and backed it up. "Now," she added, "we go all the way." Across the street, a dark car sat idling. When I turned to look, it rolled forward slowly, like it was deciding whether to follow. The car didn't follow. Not immediately. It simply drifted forward, then turned at the corner like it had never been there for us at all. Like it wanted us to doubt ourselves. But the threat text lived in my pocket like a hot stone. That night, Mr. Larkin called. "Come to my office," he said. "Now." Mark's addendum has another page. When we arrived, he handed me a sealed envelope with Mark's handwriting. The ink looked darker than before, like he pressed harder, like he wanted the paper to remember. I opened it with careful fingers. Inside was a dated note and one last line that made my chest tighten. "If anything happens to me, request a mechanical report." I documented concerns. Below it was a brief list of people Mark said had pressed him to stop digging. A phone number. A time. A location. Then the final sentence. "They don't just take money. They take silence." I sat there, staring at that sentence, and grief finally hit me cleanly. Not foggy. Not confused. Sharp. Because Mark hadn't died believing the world was fair. He died fighting to keep me from being swallowed by a lie. Nia's voice softened for the first time in days. "We can push for reopening questions," she said. "The threat text helps." I nodded slowly. "And my sister?" I asked. Mr. Larkin's expression was controlled. "Consequences will move faster now. But understand this, family pressure will intensify." I exhaled, long and steady. "Let it," I said. "They already tried to bury me with my own name." On the drive home, the city lights blurred through my window like tired stars. When we reached my building, I noticed the same dark car again, parked too neatly. Idling. Waiting. Nia didn't panic. She just memorized the plate. Then she said something that made my skin prickle. "What if you weren't the only target?" she asked. "What if Mark saved you, and someone else is next?" I looked at the dark car, then at the folder in Nia's bag. Mark's evidence wasn't only about my past. It was a warning about what was still coming. My phone buzzed once more. This time, it was my cousin. "They're saying you attacked the family. Is it true?"